Welcome, welcome. I'm just getting things ready, sending out the word that I'm live now. But feel free to relax if you have a suggestion for where what you'd like me to explain. Feel free to drop it. I do have some stuff here that I'm going to go over, but I could always use some suggestions. Let's get some tunes going. Heck yeah, my favorite royalty-free tracks, courtesy of YouTube. Actually, it's just the one. It's this one here, drifting at where was it? Drifting at 432 hertz. It's nice and long. It's like 20 minutes, but it's like pretty decent actually. Like it's very good ambience music, ambiance. I'm gonna pull it up on YouTube instead so I can loop it. Drifting. Here we go. Sorry if that was loud. Sorry if I'm loud. All right, I'm just going to make a community post and then we should be good. Where did I put my phone? There it is. Okay, so this isn't going to be super formal type deal. If I was extremely serious about this would have come out on Thursday, which is, I believe, when the actual 200th animation came out. Today's was actually about 202 or something. Let me just check. Today's the 203rd. So I could have timed this a little bit better. Unfortunately, there was just a lot going on lately for me. So it wasn't a great time. I'm over that now. I have very little on my plate. Well, that's not true. I still have a lot on my plate, but it's I'm not as overwhelmed right now. So I figured now would be a good time to do this anyways. So yeah, just like I did last time. If you weren't around for when I did this for when I hit 100 daily animations. That was about, well, it would have been 100 days ago. Isn't that convenient? But what I did was I picked, it was either 5 or 10, but I picked a bunch of different animations that I really enjoyed making, but more specifically that represented like a different element of how I animate. So I picked a whole bunch of animations and I went kind of in depth into how I made them. And so this time around, I wanted to do kind of the same thing because between then and now, 100 animations, that's a lot of time to learn and grow. And I definitely feel like I have learned and grown as an animator. So I put out a call Not many people answered because I don't have a large audience, but I did get some very great suggestions from Anju. I can never remember if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, but Anju reached out to me privately and said that they were very excited to learn how I did some of these animations. And so in honor of that initiative, we're going to look at their suggestions. So I have the list here. I'm going to refer back to it every once in a while because I'm very bad at remembering stuff like this. But let's just go through it in order. So the first thing that they want to know is how I made the Game Grumps logo in 3D. And I should still have the working file for that. Just going to drag this window over. I made the 3D. Sorry, I'm still a little winded. I just got back from a walk. It's nasty, horrible weather here where I am. We had our first snowfall like yesterday. And the roads are terrible, and it's just like snowing, and I hate this time of year, if I'm being super honest. I don't like the snow. It's irritating and it gets everywhere. But yeah, it's I'm still just like I'm a little cold and I'm a little winded, but we will power through it. What was I looking for? Right. So the 3D Game Grumps logo that I made that for the first compilation. So I used to do, and I might, I've been considering bringing them back because looking back at the analytics for it, they were pretty good for watch time. So I might bring them back, who knows. But for those compilations, I would use a 3D Game Grumps logo. I personally like to make like anything that appears in my videos, unless I credit them, it's made by me, just because that's how I prefer to do things around here. I like to claim that I own everything in the video. Like I made everything in the video. Here it is. I have two files here. What's the second one? This is like their little icons. Yeah. No, that's not what we want. So this is my working model for the Game Grumps logo. I might actually go back and change it or whatever, but for right now, this is what I use. It's in every thumbnail. It's probably going to be in anything that I do going forward. I obviously didn't design the logo. I actually don't know who designed the logo. And my instinct would be to say Crooked Glasses, because they're the one who designed the mascots, but I'm not actually sure about the logo. I should probably look into that, but I won't. But what I did was, I believe I took a photo, or I took an image of their logo. I traced around it to form the letters, and then I extruded them out and smoothed them to get this 3D shape. So normally what you can do in most 3D software is you can just make text. So if I go Shift A and I add some text, I can change that text to say Game Grumps, right? And you can even do it with specific fonts and all that. But the problem is, and I don't know if this is still the case, or even if this is the case at all, but I couldn't find this specific font for the logo. So if I didn't know what the font was, I might be able to take the text and, extrude it out like this, like give it depth and give it some scale. I might be able to do that, but if it doesn't look like the Game Grumps logo, there's no point. So what I ended up doing, again, I took a picture of the Game Grumps logo. I can actually just show you how I did it. So I have a plane here. I'm just going to bring this up here so it's not being blocked. I've got a plane. I've got an image. Just going to grab the dimensions of this image. It's not like super important because you can eyeball it, but if you want to be precise, 833 by 302 pixels. So I take this square, I scale it on the x-axis by 800, or I can just do 8.33. The exact number doesn't matter as long as the ratio is correct. So 8.33, and then I scale it in the x, 3.02. So this is the dimensions of the file that I have. So then once I've done that, I'm going over to the shading workspace, adding a new material, and then just dragging and dropping this image file right in here. I'm going to drag it into emissive because The emissive property in a material means it emits its own light. So it's going to provide light as opposed to needing a light source in order to light it. Now, you are still going to have some problems. Like, for instance, the base color is white, which means that's what's giving it this washed out color. So what I do is I turn that down to black, which means it essentially doesn't have a base color. And then I turn the roughness up and the specular down so that no light is affecting it whatsoever. There might be better, more efficient ways to do this. You can import it as a plane. This is the method that I find works best for me. And also what I like to do, you can see that there's a black edge around here when in the working file, if I bring that up, in the working file, there actually isn't that black edge. This is the same file, but the reason that the black edge is here is because by default, Blender doesn't know how to react to transparency. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this alpha node, this alpha value, and I'm going to plug it into the alpha here. But you'll see that also didn't change anything. That's because, again, by default, it's not equipped to handle it. So I just go into the material tab, scroll all the way down to settings, and then in blend mode, I just pick any of the alphas. I find alpha blend works best for this. So I pick alpha blend, and the logo is now completely isolated. There's nothing around it, no black border, unless it was supposed to be there. And yeah, so once I have this, I can go about this one of two ways. The way I like to do it, because I don't really like to mess around with the knife tool, is I'll make another plane. I'll bring it up to this guy right here. I'll center it a little bit. Again, doesn't really matter, but it's just best practice. And then I'll start to roughly model out the shape. So stretch it out here, bring these two up here, extrude, rotate, and so on and so forth. So you keep doing this all the way around in order to get the rough shape. Sorry, the mic's really close to me. I should probably set this back a little bit. So I just model it roughly to shape because eventually we can use like bevel modifiers and subdivision surface modifiers to smooth it out. So I'm just going to do the G as an example. I'm not going to model the whole thing, but that's essentially my process. Some tricks that I've picked up along the way. Let's say I have 2 points like this that I want to be planar. So you can see they're not planar right now, or at least they're not planar in the principal axes. So what I do is I grab both points, I press S for scale, and then I'll press X to lock it to the X-axis. And if I hit 0, it'll put them back in the same principal plane. So I'm just going to keep roughly modeling this out. Okay, and then once I've gotten here, now it's very rough. Normally I would go through this with some extra loop cuts like in between these, but we're not really, this isn't a tutorial or anything. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to grab all the faces. I'm going to extrude upwards to give it some depth, obviously. And then once that is done, I can go in and I can add a subdivision surface modifier. So that's going to smooth it out, and you'll see that you're losing quite a bit of form. And that's because it takes the average of points, which is obviously going to be somewhere in the middle. So that's why you lose a lot of the form, like the average between these 2 points. It takes kind of the whole mesh into account. Like if I were to delete this face, you'll see that point like popped right back up there. So it's a little hard to parse where it's going to go. But once we have that, we can either take the edges that we want to be a little bit harder, like this. All I did was Alt select these guys, and then it selects the whole ring. So you take those, Shift E, and then you can add a crease where it says, like, let's put some more of a definitive edge in this spot. So you can take that all the way around, or you can add in some more geometry by hand. So I can either do this, which works, it's pretty decent, or you can also just add in some more geometry like this. I'll add a bevel, and then it does the same, essentially the same thing. I can't remember exactly what I did for these, but based on the very obvious smoothing difference that you see here, how this side is shaded very differently from this side, it was probably the crease mode, the one where you press Shift E and then it forms the crease without adding geometry. So that's how I made the letters part, and then the background is just like a simple, it's a plane that I've subdivided and then just extruded, stuff like that. That's the simple part. Now the hard part, or the more complicated part, is this blue outline. Now it's not my proudest work. It doesn't really even look like what it's supposed to look like, which is this. If I was really being serious about it, what I would do is probably duplicate the mesh, stretch it out a bit, like duplicate each letter individually, stretch it out, and then color it the same shade of blue. But I'm very lazy. I take lots of shortcuts. So what I did instead was I went with the outline method that I use from time to time, where you use a solidify modifier to only show the back-facing faces, and that's what gives you this sort of outline effect. It's very cheap. It doesn't look great in like corners and stuff where there's a lot of geometry, as you can see, but it gets the job done, especially at a distance like you would see it from normally. So that is the logo. I'm not going to save because I probably messed that file up a bit. But the next thing that we're going to do is professional game designers, specifically the adjustments on screen. I'll go over everything that I did for professional game designers because that one actually was extremely fun to do. Fun fact, I'm pretty sure that one's like over 12,000 views on TikTok. Let me just check. It's probably going to be loud in a sec. Hold on. Nope, TikTok's muted. Perfect. In case you didn't know, I have a TikTok. You should go and follow me. Yeah, so it's just over 12,000 views, which is wild. Like that's a crazy amount of views for something so simple. I think I made that in like 3 or 4 hours, and I left halfway through it. But yeah, I'll go over how I did this one. I just got to find the file. I had to clear my throat. There we go. Professional game designer. I have 2 files, I believe. Because little peek into how the sausage gets made. The noise that you see on screen was rendered separately from everything else. That's my cheating moment. Let's see, where is it? I don't have, wow, I can't believe I did that. I didn't save the noise files. Well, isn't that fun? Well, essentially, I'll just recreate it here. Essentially, all I did was, I did. Oh, it's just within, okay. All right, so I'm going to turn off the sound because we don't really need it. But what I have here is a plane that I then extruded out into the rest of this shape. But this plane was the first thing that was in the file. This one right here. So what is going on in this plane? It's a little complicated because nodes often can be. Never mind. I didn't save it. This is just a movie clip. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna recreate it. Hold on. I do actually have pictures. Let me bring those up. I just have to find them. Nodes are fun. I like working with nodes a lot. Some people don't. I just find it very fun to do, fun to figure out. It's kind of like a puzzle. Like you're just trying to figure out what combination of math and noise and all this will do certain things. All right, I'll bring this right here. Gotta zoom out. So this is the kind of camo looking pattern. So this is a noise texture that gets its vector from a Voronoi, that gets its vector from a noise, that gets its vector from the object coordinate system. So essentially all that means is you're generating noise, you're using that noise to generate a Voronoi, and then you're using that Voronoi to generate another noise, and that's what creates this kind of camo pattern. I discovered this I didn't discover camo, but I figured this out just messing around. I found some other really cool patterns as well. Actually, let me bring those up. They came out really cool. There's this pattern here. Don't know what I'm going to use it for, but I'm sure I could find something, maybe apply like a cool gradient in the background or something like that. I don't know. It might be cool as an alpha as well. And then there's this one kind of in the same vein. This one, it looks like really cell-like almost. Like they're like plant cells. I don't know. I just think it looks really cool. I might be able to use this for something organic looking down the line. But again, we'll see. And then this is just like, it's variations on the same thing, generating noise and feeding it into other noise. That's all this was. So I made the noise textures. And what I did was, in order to do the transition, I actually generated 3 different videos, or four different videos. So there was the first clip, which was the green and the red and the blue. So that's this one right here. Whoops. The red and the blue. So this just goes through the red and the blue here. If I make this big, I can actually play through it with my arrow keys. So you can see that it's like warping and shifting. This is what is known as 4th dimensional noise. The 4th dimension obviously is time. So you iterate on time, and then that lets you move the noise through time. So that's it. You're not changing the scale or any of the details or anything like that. You're just going forward and backwards in time. So I rendered the red and the blue. I rendered the green and the blue. So same thing, just green and blue. I rendered the green and the gray. And then the last thing was I rendered a green and gray using a Voronoi. And that's what gives it this kind of square diamond shape and feel to it. And then all I did was I took those 4 different video clips and I rendered them together. I edited them together with just simple cross dissolves.
I wish there was more green in this game.
So that right there was a cross dissolve. So it went from the scene in blue and red to the scene in green and blue just through a cross dissolve. So nothing fancy, but it got the job done. As for I shouldn't have closed that. Hold on. Can you tell that this is not scripted? It's very off the cuff. There we go. The rest of it was kind of just like make it up as I went. So I started with the screen, and then I was like, well, the screen needs to have a border. And then I was like, well, what's this machine going to look like? So I went for kind of just like a simple industrial kind of grimy look to it. You don't really get this close in the video, but I did add some like noise and stuff to. I was trying to go for like a chipped paint aesthetic, but it kind of just looks more like the moon or something. But it, again, it gets the job done. These rivets, same material. And then once I had that done, I started putting in, buttons and dials. These are just extremely simple. This is a cylinder, and then all the faces are extruded out. It's very simple stuff. Same with the button. It's just a square, and then it's been beveled, and then just shaded. So very simple stuff. You might notice a pattern. I don't put a lot of work into what I do, which is why I'm able to get them done in a day. That's part of my secret. With the labels, again, this is just text like built in to Blender. I can still edit it if I want to. Very cool system. I just extruded it and gave it a bit of a bevel, and I was trying to go for like one of those, sticker label printers kind of thing that it makes like the white on black label. So I was just going for that kind of feel. Because, with all these buttons, you wouldn't have them unlabeled. You would want to know what they do. And speaking of what they do, this is just, like jokes I thought up at the last moment. So I was thinking like, what's something that you could push a button, like conceivably push a button, and then that would be added to the game. So, loot crates, fetch quests, backtracking. I knew that these dials had to be green, gray, and square diamond because that's the joke. That's the joke of the clip. So these were already locked in my head, but the buttons, I just kind of threw on whatever I thought was funny. Jeff I didn't think anything of it at the time, but as I was packing up that day to head out, it occurred to me that the director of my game design course was named Jeff. So maybe that was subconscious. Who knows? I think it was just me doing a funny joke, but psychology and whatnot. And this one is notably simple, this animation, because you don't see their faces. So there's no lip sync in this whatsoever. It's just their arms moving in very odd ways to turn the dials. Oh, and you'll notice another how the sausage gets made thing. In an animated film, if you're not looking too closely at something, odds are they didn't do it properly. So you can see that from this view, he very clearly isn't touching the dial. But from this view, it doesn't matter. So that's another neat little, learn how the magic trick is done kind of thing. Maybe next time you're watching a movie, an animated movie, or even a live action one with a lot of CG, just try and imagine what kind of shortcuts they were taking, because it's all a money game. They're trying to save as much time as they can. So they'll often have stuff like this. So yeah, that's this animation here. Let's move on to the next thing. How do you make your 3D backgrounds? Now, I did ask specifically what 3D backgrounds they had in mind. Maybe if Anju is in the chat now, we can get some more insight, but it doesn't seem like they really had much. We'll go over these ones in a bit, but we're going to stick to this list up here. How do you make a character POV video? I'm trying to... I could have sworn that I had actually done a first-person animation before, but I'm just thinking back, I can't actually think of what animation that would be. So let's just go back. I think this was 3 or 4 days ago. The animation with Flamingo as a guest. So let me grab that file. Monopoly money. So deceptively simple. All I do is I put the camera where Dan's head would have been, and then I just remove his head. I got rid of it's actually up here. So I didn't get rid of it altogether. I could have, I could just grab it and delete it, but I thought it was funnier. But yeah, so the only trick to it is putting the camera where the head would be, and that's how you get first person stuff. Now the camera itself, I'm using a very different field of view, or maybe I am, I thought I was. But you'll see, you can't see Aaron and Flamingo from here, but very clearly they are in the scene. They're just positioned in such a way that you can't see them from the camera's view until
50
he moves his head. Aaron comes back up, and that's how you can see him. And let me turn that was a little loud. Let me turn Blender down. Volume mixer. Blender. So yeah, nothing to it really. It's pretty much just playing with the objects in the scene, trying to make sure that anything I do, they're not visible when they're not supposed to be. So again, Flamingo, he's not visible right now. You can see his skeleton right there, but he's only visible when I want him to be. He pops up, and that's when you can see him. Also, ignore Aaron's mouth like this. It's only in the scene. If I were to hit render, you'll see that his teeth aren't actually poking out of his face. That's just because the geometry is different in the scene than it is in the render. So that's that. But yeah, there really isn't much to the first person ones. I've mentioned this trick before, but you can use the movement of the timeline itself to help you animate. So if I grab the circle object that controls the camera, you can see there are some moments that there's very little frames. There's a keyframe here and a keyframe here and here. But then there's this part right here that's really dense. That's because in order to get that effect, what I do is, I'll just clear this out of the way. If you hit play and then move the camera, it'll actually record all those movements. So hit play.
$50,000? 5,000? Dude.
So you see it recorded all those keyframes, and now if I hit play again,
$1,000? 5,000?
it does the movement without me moving the cursor. So that's how I was able to get him laughing at the end. Like that. It gives it more of a natural movement as opposed to hand placing it and letting it interpolate. I did not mean to delete that entire camera. But yeah, that's just another trick that I've picked up along the way. I believe there's actually like a walking function for the camera. Like if you select the camera, I don't know where it is specifically, but I think like you're able to use like WASD to walk around with the camera as if it was like a first-person game. I think that's pretty cool. Anyways, let's move on to the next suggestion. Physics in the scene. What had physics in it? I often use rigid body physics to make a pile of stuff, like a pile of coins or a pile of rings. But what has physics in it? I mean, I think I've done like cloth physics for some things here and there. What have I done cloth physics in? Oh, okay. I think I might have done it for NSP's Humble Beginnings, because Dan has his cape. Yes, that's right.
Just waiting.
Yep. Cloth physics are fun. They're actually really, really good for me because they're really simple to do. I have a very powerful processor and graphics card, so they're very easy for me to do, but they look amazing. So let me just turn off all the outlines and stuff here so you can see it.
Just waiting. Boner songs. Don't come in.
So that is not real time. That is pre-baked, I believe. Let me just grab it and check. Oh no, I think that actually was real time. No, it's baked. Sorry, yeah. So it does run in real time. There's just there's a lot more in the scene than I think it could handle. Maybe, I don't know, but essentially all I do is I have his cape, which is like, it's pretty much just a plain. Turn that off. Turn that off. Turn that off. Yeah, it's just a plane. Like it's like less than 20 polygons or so, or it might be 20, but it's just a plane, and then you smooth it like this, so that adds some more geometry. You hook it to Dan, so it gets hooked to his shoulder like that. Run the cloth sim with this low geometry, then you solidify it, and then you smooth everything. So that gives the edge its rounded appearance. That gives it some more geometry to work with. That makes all the pointy bits smoothed out. But yeah, it's cloth. Cloth is one of those things that's like, if you can do it even remotely well, it's pretty impressive, just because like it kind of blows people's minds at how it can look. But most of the heavy lifting is just Blender.
Just waiting. Boner songs.
Yeah, like I don't hand key it or anything. That's insane. Like I'm sure there are people out there who probably do hand key it, like maybe like by vector or something. But most people, when they do cloth, it's a simulation. But it's a very fun, it's a very convincing effect. Character POV, we did that. Physics in objects, we did that. Okay, 3D backgrounds. I haven't had any in mind. The Ghoul Grumps animation had a good spooky background. I don't know which one. Now you see, a big part, actually, in fact, one might even say it's pretty much all I do, is that I animate every day. And if they did Ghoul Grumps for a week, that's 7 different Ghoul Grumps that it could be picking from. So you know what? Screw it. Let's do most of them. Let's do all of them. First one, let's go. Wendy's Burger. That didn't have a 3D background. Never mind. We're not going to do that one. Grease Room. Okay. The Grease Room. That one was kind of funny. It's just an image. It's just the poster for Grease. and it's been applied to a cube. So I open, let me show you how easy this is. So you open Blender, brand new file, right? Don't even have to make anything, right? Cube is right there. We're going to go to shading. Materials all ready for us to go. Going to grab the picture that you want to use. Let me see if I can find the grease photo again. Yep, here it is. Grab the photo, toss it on to the base color. All right. Now here's where things get a little tricky. All right, because you see this doesn't look quite the same as this here. You can see each face is a full image, and that's because we haven't unwrapped this properly yet. It's got the standard unwrap on it, which is like this T shape, right? But we don't want that. We want each of these faces to be as big as this poster. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to hit U, and I'm going to hit cube projection, and that's going to make all the faces the same size. All right, we're almost done. Gonna hit S for scale. S for scale, Z to scale, or sorry, Y to scale on the Y axis, and then we're gonna bring it up so that it's touching the top of the poster. Then when we go over to rendered view, there we go. So we've got a cube where every face is grease. Now you can see there are some faces that are kind of like reversed like this. That's just a simple fix of going in, pressing one axis, the X axis, and then -1, and then that's just going to flip it. Not a big deal either. I probably left one of those in the normal video. But the last thing, you know, a room isn't perfectly sealed, so we're just going to grab one of the faces and delete it. And that's the grease room. That's how I made the grease room. Now there was a little bit more to it where I used like color ramps and stuff to add some displacement, kind of give it some more texture, but it didn't really come through in the video anyways, so you can just ignore that. But essentially all I did was color ramp and then displacement, feed that into the height, feed this into there, and then you see it gets kind of ugly because it's really noisy and uncompressed. So we're going to bring that down to 0.1, and then we're going to compress the heck out of this so that just a little bit of it is giving us height info. So not exactly this is what I'm saying, but like something like this. So that was the grease room. Let's move on to, what was the next week? Next day. Artisanal cheese. This one's complicated. All right. Or it's not complicated. There's just a lot to it. Artisanal cheese. Artisanal cheese. There we go. Okay, so are you guys ready to see the background that you don't actually get to see in the video? Here it is. So again, talking about animators taking shortcuts. If you aren't going to see it, there's no point in making it. So there's no doors in the buildings. There's just one set of buildings that are duplicated on both sides. I technically didn't even need this. I felt like the reflection would look a little bit better if you could see it. You actually can't, so it didn't even matter in the end. But yeah, it's all about getting away with the bare minimum. Did I make this guy for this? No, so I call this guy Bebo. That's their name. I just use them anytime, you know, like someone from the game is talking, or in the case of Flamingo, like I just didn't feel like drawing a new character that day. I'll just use them. It's like a blank, typical, like a nothing character. You'll see there's a Jax Films cameo again, just because it's all about being lazy. I have the model, so I might as well use it. That bike is from the Aaron F's bike animation. These tables actually came out super great. I really like them. I'm definitely going to use them for something else. But the chairs are just little tables. They're just the same as the table, but small, and then with the legs reversed. So it's all about cutting corners. These lampposts are super simple and super ugly up close, but in the background, it doesn't really matter. This bus is disgusting. I hate this model, and I use it all the time. It's just again, just get stuff done with what you have. Again, there's not really much to it. This is pretty much just like a bunch of boxes, and then you like inset, and then you extrude, and that's pretty much it. The coolest thing about this is that you the shading of the buildings is a little unique, where you are mixing in two different types of noise. And it's like this whole complicated thing for an effect that doesn't even look that good. It's just kind of like, it's grimier at the bottom because that's, you know, if it rains or something and then there are all these puddles, that's where the splashing would be. There's a bus stop where a Bebo is getting on the bus. There's a garbage can. Oh, look, it's so cool. So shiny and so metal. It's really bad. But again, from a distance, doesn't matter. Here's a fun little thing that I did that doesn't even matter as well. Since this is rendered with outlines, with freestyle, you can't even see the top of the cheese. You can't even see the subsurface scattering. Like, it doesn't even matter, but I did it anyways. So yeah, that's the artisanal cheese background. For the animation itself, there isn't really much to it. It's pretty much just Aaron's holding an object that he has to move around with. So you see his hand moves and the object is still in his hand. But at one point, Dan smacks it out of his hand and it flies out of his hand. So he's not holding it anymore. That's a little technique that I've developed on my own. It's kind of irritating to do, but it works. But again, you wouldn't be seeing this naturally with the camera view that I give you, but this is what's happening. It's spawning another object in the scene, and then it's making the other one disappear. So that's how I get that effect. I don't typically do like rigid body physics for stuff like this, just because I don't know how they work, and it's too complicated to figure out for something so short and menial. So I'll actually hand key this. What I like to do is I'll start it from the top frame, right? So this isn't the top frame. So it starts here. It has to end up here. So I put those two keyframes. And then obviously when you throw something, it goes up. So there's a frame where it goes up, frame where it goes down. And then when something hits the ground, it doesn't just hit it and stop, it bounces. So it bounces up and then bounces down. Bounces up and then bounces down. So that's how I'm able to get, like even a little bit up close, it holds up to scrutiny.
Out of here with that.
So, well, not as well, but you get what I'm saying. I hand key pretty much everything that's like that. Like when Eggman throws his clipboard into the wall, that was hand keyed. The door swinging and falling down off its hinges, that was hand keyed. In this case, it might be easier to do like rigid body physics, but it's just what I'm used to. So I just do this anyways. I don't know why. Oh, did I save by accident? Ugh. Oops. Well, I definitely did now. All right, sorry. I just got to undo everything because I might have to come back to this file one day. All right, so that was artisanal cheese. Grease Room didn't have. Blood Wash didn't have. Broken Dryer, what is that? Broken Dryer definitely didn't have. That was done on paper. That's kind of sneaking into your domain, Waffle Boy. I'm sorry about that. What day is Halloween? That one wasn't 3D. Apples and Bananas. That one's a fun one. I really like that one a lot. Let me bring that up. I don't know why I closed Blender. Apples and bananas. Apples and bananas. There we go. Oh, no, that's the wrong. Wow. I totally forgot about this. I actually wanted to do apples and bananas as a hand-drawn. This is all I did for it. It's just a pair of walking legs. But I realized that it was probably going to take a lot longer, so I switched over to CG. There we go. That's the one. All right, so this is the same exact hallway that I used for the owl animation. What did I call it? Stop running, something like that, with the hoot hoot, the from Link's Awakening. It's the same hallway. So I deleted one of the faces because I wanted it to look from the side view. What's up, Nintendo's? I wanted to look from the side view, so I deleted all the side. These columns stayed, except for this last frame because I wanted it to be unobscured. So there's supposed to be a column here opposite, but I got rid of it. Some of these paintings, they start off as this noise pattern. I forget how I made it, but it's like kind of similar to what's on the columns. But then I figured, I've got all this original art now that I didn't have back then, so I might as well use some of it. So I like this one a lot. It's got a very interesting message on it. I think you should take it to heart. Everyone else I talked to in the pedal server is younger. I'm relatively young. I'm 22. But I assume you mean younger than that. This next one is the Sonic. This is still like one of my favorite pieces because it's before this I had never done anything with actual rendering techniques. So very proud of how that one came out. You Must Try. That one and this one here, these two are supposed to be in. They were made for the classroom set, so I figured like, what's a fun little thing I can put that would be eligible for like a classroom, and so I figured like an inspirational "You Must Try" poster would be appropriate. This one was just because I like the Eggman model. It's like one of my longest recurring characters. So I wanted to put him in there, and he's actually the last like poster you see. So I kind of wanted to hint at like, oh, this is his mansion or hallway that they're walking through. So yeah, but other than that, it's the same kind of technique where the hallway itself is the thing that moves, not actually Aaron and Dan. Fun fact: Aaron and Dan stay in place. The hallway moves around them. Sorry if that ruins it for you. It's actually the same thing that happened in the original animation with the owl. But yeah, the hallway moves around them. These windows pass the light source, which is this like plane right here. So these windows will go past it, and they'll cast the shadow. That's kind of what I wanted to go for. It's a little hard to see because the lighting within the viewport is a lot less detailed than the lighting in the actual scene, but rest assured the shadow should be there. You can even see a little bit of it. The flashlight, actually, this isn't my first time doing a flashlight, but everything else was either hand drawn in the case of the grease room, or was flat out wrong, like with my car loop, where the shadow was the flashlight was geometry, and so it cast a shadow. The light itself was casting a shadow, which is just dumb. So this is an actual spotlight object, but the way I'm able to get it physically, or not physically, but the way I get it to appear in the scene is you can actually tell this is filled with fog. I added some fog into the scene. Well, first of all, because it gives it that atmosphere, but it also lets you see the flashlight better, or just at all. Here's a little detail that you might not even have noticed. There's a little man that goes by the camera, or not by the camera, but by the light. He's right there, and he's gonna pass by the light. You can see his shadow right there. No one noticed it, or at least no one pointed it out. So I don't know. Maybe I was being a little sneaky about it, but just wanted to give it something hidden that you could point out, but no one did. So whatever. I don't think this animation even did super well. Let me go back and check. I could be wrong. 1.4 thousand. So it did pretty decent. I don't think it did well at first. I think it took like 3 or 4 days for it to start getting views. Boom, 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 boom. Sorry, I got a notification from Discord that I had to look at. Let's see. Was there anything else oh, the chair. That's right. So the chair, I totally forgot because you can't even see it. The chair, just like Aaron and Dan, doesn't actually move at first. It stays in place while the hallway moves. But going back to what I said in the last scene, this is also hand keyed. So the chair starts up here.
Whoa, what was that?
I hand key it down there, and then I hand key it jumping. So that's just a personal thing that I prefer to do. I don't like to leave it up to chance. I like to hand key it. and then I added the sound effect afterward. I think the sound effect really helped sell it. But yeah, not a bad effect altogether. It's just a very simple chair, like one of the simplest things you can do. But again, based on where it is in the scene, it doesn't really matter.
Whoa, what was that?
Yeah, this is definitely one of my favorite animations. It's not one of my favorite jokes. Like I think it could have been funnier, but I definitely added a lot to this one. That's a big measure for myself of how well I did this animation. Is, do I feel like I'm contributing to the joke, or do I just feel like I'm making a representation of the joke? What I try not to do, I did this early on, but what I try not to do with my animations is just show what's on screen or just show Aaron and Dan reacting, because in my eyes, there's no point to that. And I'm not saying that that's what other animators are doing. Absolutely not. Like, there are very talented animators that are doing lots of incredible things. What I'm saying is, for me, it could just be the easy route of Aaron and Dan sitting on a couch and they make a quip to each other, and then that's the thing. What I strive to do, and it's a big part of what goes into picking my clips as well, what I strive to do is make something completely new from the audio that you see there. So, you know, Dan didn't explicitly say in the episode, or didn't mention in the episode, like, this is the sound of us walking down a hallway or something. That's just how I saw it in my head, and so that's how I represented it on screen. I could have very easily just had them on a couch, but this is the approach I want to take. Waffle Boy is assuring that is the case. I'm just saying that's part of my thinking process, and if you take that, you can take that however you want. I don't think that was the last episode of Ghoul Grumps. I'm pretty sure there was a little bit more. Why is it? Did I hit save again? Hold on. I've trained myself instinctually to just constantly hit save at all points of the day, even when I'm not on my computer. But it's a little irritating because Windows will organize this based on date modified, but not date created or anything like that. I wish you could just, like, I'm sure you can, but I just, like, wish you could sort it by hand. But yeah, like these two are from months ago, but since I've been using them, they're up at the top of the list. So I have to remember, like, this one was today's, this one was yesterday's, so on and so on. What day is Halloween? That one didn't have a 3D background, and I'm pretty sure that was the last Halloween one. Although the Jaden one where they played Observation Deck, that one technically is like, wait, it's not Ghoul Grumps, but it's the game that they played on Ghoul Grumps, so I don't know if it counts. But yeah, that was I'm pretty sure, because they said specifically. Oh, so okay, spooky backgrounds, also the park, also the live show. Okay, so we've got a couple more we can look at before I can take some more suggestions. By the way, I'm not. This isn't formalized. I'm not married to this format. So if you want to see anything specific, like, just drop it in the comments or in the chat, and I'll be happy to cover it after I'm done going through this. Man, I could use some water. After this park one, I'm gonna go and get some water. Park. So this one, what's this one? Wait a minute. No, it must be. This one, if I'm remembering correctly, which I very well could not be. No, I'm remembering. So this one is the animation where Bebo came from. So this is the first appearance of Bebo, which is good because I really like this character. And I say character very loosely because it's just a humanoid blob, like a white blob with an outline. It's not anything specific. It's just what I like to use as a blank character. This park scene is a little bit different from the other park scene because I don't believe this one has. Oh, it does have grass. Never mind. I hate doing grass. I find it irritating. It looks bad for me. Like, whenever I do it, I'm not saying it looks bad at all. I'm saying when I can't do it in a way that looks good. So I don't like it, but it's here anyways. So let me just turn it on so you can see it. If Odd Ones Out can do it, you can do it too. I mean, I also did Odd Ones Out as well. Like I also did drawings for the Odd Ones Out animations. Where is the grass? Why isn't the grass? Where's the grass? Fence. That's not it. Angle? No. That. Where's the? There's a grass object. This is bizarre. Oh wait, no, it's a particle system. I'm sorry. It's been a long day. There we go. All right, so you can see like immediately. Well, actually, not super bad because I've got really beefy hardware. But this is the grass. It's just like a bunch of planes. Like if I go, where's the base object? Boring. It's just like a bunch of planes that are like a little bit thin and tall and then like moved a little bit, and then you just distribute it as a particle system, like a hair particle system. It's irritating and I hate doing it, but it's there. If this was, now here's the thing, and I might lose you actually, like I might literally lose the stream, but if I switch over to cycles, my days because it's too times less detailed is but it does look a lot better. It takes a long time. My first Game Grumps animation, which was the Danganronpa, it was like Toko. It was Toko talking about, well, it was Aaron and Dan talking about. Oh, did you actually lose me? Well, I knew it. I called it. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna switch back. Hold on. Okay, can you still hear me? Am I still here? Yeah, I knew, because it's so, you know, I might have a 3080, but it's still like really demanding on the hardware. But yeah, so grass, I don't really like the look of it. I think the background of this, it looks really good. It's just like an image texture that I made, or did I even? Oh no, I think it's all procedural, which is good. I like to do procedural textures because it means you can do it very simply and all within Blender. But yeah, so I'm rambling. This is pretty much just a bunch of planes, a bunch of cubes with like a procedural concrete texture on it. This park bench is just a bunch of cubes. This garbage can is like literally the same as the other one, although it looks like I maybe added some more geometry to it. These trees, these are also all procedural. I modeled these. These were back in like the before I had to quit this phase when I would like just start. This was probably from like the fifth or sixth animation. These are a bunch of meta balls. This is a cool little distraction. So meta balls are meta objects in general within Blender. So like meta ball, meta capsule. Whenever they're near each other, they like morph together, which is really cool. So this is essentially just like 30 or 40 of them together like this. And then with a green material that has all these like little opacity zones, like where it's all clear and transparent. And that's how I get this like kind of leaf effect. It, again, up close, it doesn't really hold up, but from afar, it does its job. This is just noise that's been stretched out and then given like a whole bunch of colors. Yeah, balls. Oh, sorry. I really haven't been reading the chat. Eventually need to just show a recurring character. That's a good idea. I do want to do that at some point. The problem is, and it's not really like a problem because you know, I can find ways around it, but you know, hentai is hand drawn. I'm sure I have other recurring hand drawn characters, so it's not a problem. It's just a little hard to work around. That's when my mic cut out. Blah blah blah. I tried learning Blender the other day and I ended up crashing it by playing with all the subdivisions. Yeah, I don't typically go above 3, and that's just like how I, you know, like Aaron and Dan's face, the thing that like you see all the time, I think is like maybe 4, but I'm pretty sure it's 3. Yeah, three subdivisions. You don't really need to go that much higher. That's it right there. The Boolean for the mouth is 3. Yeah. Balls. Yeah. Funny stuff. The only thing I know how to do in Blender is texturing, lighting, and posing. Hey, I mean, like that's pretty much all I do. Like I'm pretty decent with poly modeling, but like other than that, there's not really much else to it. So yeah, that's this scene right here. Not much to. Oh, I forgot the slide. Yeah, the slide is just like a cube stretched out. Or no, it's not even a cube. It's a plane, and it's solidified. This is procedural because I'm lazy. This is yeah, not my best work. I wasn't like super proud of this animation. I'm proud of the sandcastle. This came out pretty cool. Some awesome sand fort. Pretty bad at modeling, and I've never animated anything. I mean, you got to start somewhere, man. It sounds like you've got a pretty good basis. Like as long as you can navigate through the viewport, like you're pretty solid. Just follow like the Blender Guru's donut tutorial, and you'll get there. Like it's a very simple concept to pick up. So that's the park one. There was also the theater, which I will show now. Park slide. I did it again. I saved again. Just gonna undo. Oh, by the way, this isn't mandatory, but back at school, all the teachers were like, you need to have tons of undos. It might take up a lot of disk space, but you just need it. So I have my undos set to like 200, which is really useful because I mess up a lot. Anyways. And I mean, like I recently, well, not recently. It's probably been like 4 or 5 months, but yeah, when I upgraded that computer, my computer, when I did that live stream, I tricked it the hell out. Like my computer is pretty much perfect for what I'm doing. I've got 32 gigs of RAM. I've got a 3080. I've got a 5900X. I upgraded my storage, so I never have to toss anything ever. I've been doing this for, what is this, like 6 months at this point? And of my 4 terabyte drive, I've only used like half a terabyte. So I'm good. I made all these upgrades. And that's a big part of why I just absolutely love Blender. Since it's free and open source, and it's got so much going for it, I'm able to not worry so much about software licenses. I can put more of my budget towards my hardware, which personally is where I would want to have my budget. Damn. Yeah, I mean, it's I'm very happy with it. I've been saving up for a while in order to make these upgrades. Before I had this, I didn't have a bad computer. I had built it was a 3600 and a 2060. And yeah, I was pretty proud of it, but you know, like I was still pretty naive. Didn't know as much about hardware back when I built that computer. And you know, as I learned more, I was like lying awake at night being like, oh, I could have had a 2070. I could have had a better processor. So it's pretty cool to have like literally my dream computer. What was I doing? All right. So for this one, I'm actually going to go to an animation that I haven't shown off yet. And that's the Aaron Don't You Know cameo animation. Because this is where the theater got its start. So this, if you haven't seen it, tried Cinema 4D and Source Filmmaker, they just don't compare. Yeah, I mean, I've got friends that use Cinema 4D. I've got friends that use Unreal, and they all say good things. Like it's all software has its advantages and disadvantages. I was trained in 3ds Max. I was trained in ZBrush. I learned Maya, but yeah, I would not give up Blender for any of those. I love it. Secrets. Yeah, so this is the, if you haven't seen it, I'll explain the story. I mean, I closed the wrong window. Hold If you haven't seen it, I'll explain it very briefly, and then we can watch it because I really like this video and I haven't watched it in a while. When I was still relatively new at this, I think like 30 days into this, my friend Matt purchased a cameo from Dan. And in the cameo, my friend asked Dan to check out my channel. So again, this was back when I had only done about 30 of these. I had a video that had reached 10,000 views. I'm pretty sure that was the... what was that? I think that was the Dear God. It might have been before that. I don't know. One of my videos had hit 10,000 views, and I was talking about that in one of my compilations. I'm pretty sure he watched the compilation, not like each individual video, which is great. Like, I'm so happy that he watched it. But Dan saw my videos, and then he sent my friend Matt the cameo. It was like 3 minutes long, and he was just talking about how impressed he was and how he liked the different styles, and then he ended the cameo by singing me a song. So he sang this, and what I did was, obviously it was just in the cameo, it was just his vocals, but what I did was I added some backing instruments. It might have just been keyboard, I don't know, but I timed it. I made sure I quantized it, and I added an instrument, and then I made this.
Aaron, don't you know that you are cool as fuck on the inside? Everybody knows the best bananas will be ripe with time. Aaron, don't you know that you kick so much ass on the inside? Aaron, don't you know? Aaron, don't you know? Aaron, don't you know?
So yeah, that was an amazing day. I remember exactly what I was doing. I was out for a walk, and my buddy Matt, he texted me. He messaged me, and he was like, "Hey, check this out." And it was this video, and I literally ran home and I showed my family, and we all just like sat there and watched, stunned. Just because. Oh, and also, I don't know if you ever noticed that's me in the background. Oh, my hair is so much longer now. Oh my god, I gotta show this to someone. But my hair is not that short right now. It's way crazier, way longer right now. But yeah, it was quite a touching moment, and it's a great video. I freaking love it. But anyways, what we're talking about is the background here. That was a long diversion to say that we're talking about the background. So this is just a the clap. It is a reference to Shia LaBeouf. I'm glad people caught on to that, because I thought that was a dead meme at this point, but I'm glad. Yeah, this is just a cube. The edges are beveled, and then it's textured black. It's black with high roughness, low specular, to give it this kind of like matte look to it. Because a big part, I'm not being like too specific about this, but a big part of movie theaters, a lot of them are painted this matte black, because having light controlled environments makes the image on the screen a lot clearer, and it gives it a lot more contrast. So that's what I did here. These are just basic ass theater seats. Hey, I'm a little late, but I just wanted to pop in and say congrats on 200 animations. Keep up the good work, man. Thank you so much for popping in. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the best wishes as well. And if you ever get a chance to watch back on this, maybe some of my stupid tips and tricks will help you down the line, because I see that you're also you're doing some 3D animations, man, and you keep up the good work as well. These theater seats, here's a little cheat for you. Not only did I not model each of them, I didn't even model one. I modeled half of one. So I modeled half, copied it over, and then I copied it like 6 or 7 times, and then I copied that like 6 or 7 times, and that's how I did theater seats. So for this, it's just, subdivided cube, subdivided cube, subdivided cube, extruded and subdivided cube. So yeah, but it achieves the effect pretty well. I feel like they're pretty convincing as theater seats, and they get the job done. Aaron is wearing a like a tuxedo shirt. I've used this texture from time to time. Sorry, let me turn the bones off. I've used this texture from time to time, most notably It's in the Jory interview animation. That's also a great animation. Go and watch that. Go and watch that animation because it's like a minute long and I could use the watch time. But I use this from time to time whenever I want to give Aaron like more of a professional look to it, even though it's a sweater with a tuxedo print on it. But yeah, that was fun to make. And then obviously this is just like a picture of me that I took with my webcam. I cut it out and then I put it in the scene. Actually, oh man, I totally forgot about this funny story. What animation was it? It was another animation in the theater. Oh, it was the James one. Okay, let me go. So that's it. Like that's all for the suggested stuff. Like again, if you have any other suggestions, like feel free. But that was the last of the list that I was going through. James. I totally passed it. You is it NDA stuff? Did you walk out? That's what it was called. Did you walk out? There we go. Did you walk out? So instead of it being a plane, here's the funny thing. Instead of it being a plane, I actually modeled it. It's a PS1 Hagrid. This is my favorite thing. And I also here's the creepy part. I rigged it as well. So if I go back into X-ray mode, I can grab the bones. I can grab the bones and I can go into pose mode. And I rigged it. It moves. And it actually moves in the video. Like you can go back and watch that animation.
I've never seen the live action.
He moves. I love it so much. It's so funny. I also remember it's like really weird associations. I watch and listen to stuff while I work constantly, and it's not just like music or anything. Like I watch right now. I'm really big into Mr. Sunday movies. This is jumping my dreams. I'm really big into Mr. Sunday movies. He's an Australian movie reviewer, and I remember specifically I was watching it was like part of their podcast with Auntie Donna, which is another Australian YouTube group, and I was watching that while working on this. So just funny stuff. It's also got the outline. You can't really tell because it like this whole scene is black, but it's got oh, yeah. Sorry, just funny, funny looking. It's got the black outline as well, because in this scene I didn't use freestyle. I used the other method that I use for outlines. So that's what I have like here. You'll notice that James isn't. You already said that. You'll notice that James isn't here, even though he is here in the animation, and that's because I drew him in after the fact. So let's bring up the. It's so freaking funny. Yeah, if you know what, the recurring character is me. I'll try and find a way to use me in any chance I get, because this is genuinely like one of the funniest things I've ever made. Let's bring up. Did you walk out? That's it, James. Okay, so here you get here's a little sneak peek into my technique for adding hand-drawn elements to an already rendered CG scene. So what I do is I've got I bring in a plane just like I did with the Game Grumps logo, Blueby. Like it isn't actually you, but it looks like you, and his name is Blueby. All right, you know what? It's official. This is Blueby, Blooby. So I bring in a plane just like I did for the Game Grumps logo, but in this case, instead of dragging in an image file, I drag in a movie clip, a video clip, and then I set it to. It's either base color or emissive. It doesn't really matter. It achieves the same thing, but. I make it the scene, and then I set the offset or the amount of frames to the amount of frames in the video clip, and I hit auto refresh. That's the important part, because if you don't, it won't play with the timeline. So you can see as I go through the timeline, like even though it looks like a 3D model, it's literally just it's a video file. So I brought this in the scene, And then what I do is I literally just draw over it. And this is actually, this is a technique that is used in animation all the time. But the reason that, back in like a Scooby-Doo cartoon or something like that, the reason that often in those scenes the backgrounds look so much more detailed than things that are supposed to be moving is because the backgrounds are just a matte painting, and then they draw and paint on clear I forget what the exact name for it is, but clear sheets of plastic called cells, and then they overlay it. So that's literally all I'm doing here. And even like back in when they were animating on cells, they would use grease cell, but like the chemical name, I mean, like the composition. I know they're called cells, but like what the material is itself. What they would do is they would use grease pencils. Like they would use pencils with grease paint, and that's how they do it. And so fittingly, within Blender, this tool is called the grease pencil. So I have a plane. You can't see it, but it's on the 0, 0. It's on the 0 on the x-axis, and I have a plane. And essentially, all I do is I draw with the grease pencil. So it's just drawing on top, and then what I render is just James, right? So if I open up these files again, I have two different folders, right? I have the folder with Dan and Aaron in the movie theater, right? And they're talking to no one. And then I have the folder with just James. So this, you can imagine this as a clear piece of plastic with a little man painted onto it. And that's essentially all I'm doing. And then I combine the two in my video editing software. And I can actually, you know what? I'm going to show you how I do that too. So I use DaVinci Resolve because that's what I like. Again, it's another free software. I was trained, but not trained. I taught myself how to use Premiere. But right now I use DaVinci Resolve. So all I do is I bring in the audio. So audio clip, bring it into my workstation. That'll automatically set the resolution and the time scale. So 30 frames per second is what I like to work in. I'm going to turn this down as well because it's a little loud. Drag this into the timeline. I can get rid of the video portion of it because you don't need it. And then with image sequences, Control A will select everything. And if you drag it into DaVinci, since it's named this way, frame 0001, frame 0002, and so on and so forth, it'll know that it's supposed to be a video clip. So instead of it being individual, like 200 individual photos, it's just a video clip. So in that case, I can bring it down to this point in the timeline. It looks like it got imported at the wrong frame rate, or maybe the audio is just different.
Did you walk out?
I feel like.
Yeah, this isn't as great of an example, but essentially I bring in the image sequence. That's what it's called. It's just a collection of images. I bring in this image sequence, which again, it's individual images here, but it's a video clip here. It might look like it's like him on a black background, but that's just how it represents transparency. So if I bring this over here, oh, that's right, because the CG part cuts out. If I bring this here, that's the effect we're looking for. Now there's one last problem, and let's see if you can figure it out before I tell you. So there's one problem with what I've done. Can you figure out what the problem is? Not getting any guesses. Guess y'all don't. You were half listening. That's fine. You might have noticed if you saw, you might have noticed that there's actually a third folder here, and that folder is just Dan and Aaron. And the reason for that is because there are moments where Aaron, reaches over James. So you see, Aaron's finger conceivably should be over James's arm here, but since James is a separate thing that we've put on top, he's covering Aaron here. So that's why I rendered just Aaron and Dan on their own, because when I bring them into the timeline, that gets fixed. So just a little thing when dealing with CG or hand drawn on top of CG is if the CG has to cover the hand drawn at one point, you have to make sure that you account for that. So, yeah, right there. So in this case, we're dealing with 3 layers here. It could be less if I had planned it out a little bit better. Like I could have just drawn James in a position where he wasn't getting covered by Aaron, but it is what it is. But yeah, that achieves the effect that I'm looking for. And then after that, Aaron and Dan disappear, and then he's in the plane, and then it's just a normal hand-drawn scene. I've gotten a lot better at backgrounds since then. So I probably would have done this in Krita or something, but I just drew all this in Blender instead.
I feel like
And then for the background, I believe I just used like a generated color. Like I brought a color here, and then probably just color picked what the window was. Yeah, like that. And yeah, that's how I did this one. So again, that's pretty much it for my prepared remarks. If there's any animations that you specifically want me to explain, unless I did it before, I am all for it. Ooh, Space Area Code, that's a good one. I might go over that if no one has any suggestions. On Our Own We're Stronger, that one's a fun one as well. Oh! Animology. Oh, I'm definitely going to do those 3 at least. No suggestions? Alright, well if you come up with one, just, again, pop it in the chat. I do want to know how long it took to draw the Danganronpa characters. You know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna draw one live. Just for you. Oh wait. OBS doesn't like it when I plug in my graphic tablet. Never mind. Never mind. I'm not gonna draw one live. But if I were to draw one, because I do know who is dying next. I have played Danganronpa 2. I do know who is dying next, so I would be drawing them, so I guess it's a good thing I'm not, because it would be a spoiler. I mean, no one's dying. Who said someone's dying? No one ever dies in Danganronpa. You seen it? Well, you don't have to rub it in. Okay, so this was a fun one. This was a fun one to do. You're animating your Danganronpa right now. Have I seen this one? Is this one that you've shown up before, or is this a new one? Okay. Yeah, man. No one dies in that game. The paper cutout style. Okay, I think I have seen this one. But yeah, no, I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see it finished. So this one, okay, this one's a little daunting just because of like the massive scale of all the objects in the scene. The bullying is not cool. So these planets, I made them like really large for some reason. Like there's actually no reason for them to be this big. And because of that, like, even though they look normal size in the screen, that little green speck right there, if you can see that little green dot, like you might not even be able to see it because of the compression. That's the Milton sign. So that's boop. That's this. So zooming in, barely changed the size of the planets. Like, look at that. That's crazy. But yeah, this is a fun one. You might recognize this Milton sign as a recycled asset. This was the there's something stuck in my keyboard. That's fun. There we go. Got it out. Got to clean this thing. You might recognize the Milton sign as the, I think it was like South Arizona or something. It was from the GeoGuessr animation. I just grabbed that asset and then put a new font on it. I really like the effect of the like these tiles coming off of it. This is just a shape key. So I modeled this, and then I made a shape key where these pieces were slightly rotated and drifted off to the side here. And then I just go from 0 to 100% over the course of the whole episode, or the whole animation. So you can see it like very slowly drifts like that. And it gives it this like pretty cool, like it's in space. Obviously it would be moving like that.
So how would you know?
Same thing with these rocks here. They're also shape keyed from this. They look different from the start than they do from the beginning, or to the end. But it's a lot less noticeable because they're really ugly, really ugly looking rocks. They look better when they're rendered. Like if I hit render, they look more like rocks. So does the island. Like that's stuff that's not in the viewport just because of performance and stuff. But yeah, animating people in like a space, like a zero gravity situation is actually pretty fun. Like CG models doing it in zero gravity. It comes with its challenges. Like for instance, the way I do my legs, it's like really janky when he like flips around. They like freeze in spots and stuff like that. It's a little odd, but it's still like, again, one of my favorites.
Is that supposed to be a phone number?
I think the joke lands really well.
It would be the local area code.
Hit Brian in the background. Don't know if you saw that. And then, yeah, these are just like recycled assets. Again, that's the bike that Aaron just likes a little too much. Eggman's in the background. He's got his like little doctor thing on as well. Couch, the famous couch that they don't use anymore because they have individual chairs now, which is weird. I wasn't going to say it, but I think it's weird. I think they're at their best when they are like feet from each other with nothing dividing them. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this. And then I used the same space background that I used for the sheep animation. You can still see Dick Butt just in the back there. And yeah, it came together very well. So the next one, I wanted to... Someone else who thinks it's weird. I just think, like, what do they do when guests come? Like, do they have an extra chair? That's just bizarre. That's strange. To be clear, it doesn't matter. It ultimately, like, it doesn't... I think Aaron said it best. It makes the same funnies. Like, it's just funny. I find it funny and odd. So this one, I opened PureRef by accident. Oh, by the way, if you don't know what PureRef is, change that right away. PureRef is pure magic, if I do say so myself. We used it back in school, but essentially it's just like a big canvas where you can like drag images and drop them in. You can copy paste images. You can make little tiles. And it's just like really good for organizing thoughts and all that stuff. It's completely free. Pretty much everything I use is free. So if you're not already using PureRef and you're an artist, change that because PureRef is great. So this animation, this one was interesting because I can't actually think of why it's interesting. Anyways, what I was trying to go for was like a red carpet event, and Aaron and Dan are like showing off their sick gains, but clearly they hadn't seen that episode of SpongeBob, because Dan's totally real arms deflate and pop. This is a very simple effect. Again, just like with the sign in the previous animation, it's just a shape key. So it starts out inflated like this, and then the shape key gets turned down, and then it's just back to his normal arms. Now technically, you might notice that there's like this weird little shading artifact, and that's because I added extra geometry for the bicep. So it normally doesn't look like this, which is it's a little bizarre, but that's why it has this kind of look to it. I feel like it's so unnoticeable though that it just didn't really matter. But the background was simple. It's just a checkerboard pattern. These stanchions, I think is what they're called. This was fun to make. I think the look of the velvet, like obviously again up close it doesn't look great, but on the in the camera it looks pretty good. The gold itself, I've used this effect before. This isn't actually like a gold shader. It's just like a Fresnel that I use to cheat, kind of. And I think it comes out looking pretty good. This is the same thing I did for the Daft Punk head, by the way. So why be accurate when you can fake it? And then the lights, just to get that camera effect, it's just like the lights are off and then they're on for like a frame and then they're off for a frame. And that's how I get this flashing light warning, by the way, like turn away if you're photosensitive.
Together we are
But
strong.
that's how I get this like flashing light effect. And then I add the camera sounds in after. You can look back now. I'm not going to play it again. All right, the last thing I wanted to show off before taking some more suggestions was the animology. This one was huge for me. So if you don't remember, this one is pretty significant because this is like the most set design I've ever done for any of my animations. And I still use this. Whoop, Blender just crashed. That's fun. We might not be able to do this one. Why did you crash? I think it's because I was messing around with the yeah, let me turn you off. Deadpool. Let me turn the Deadpool off. Get rid of you. Okay. Wait, why are you... By the way, this stage for Mortal Kombat is called the Deadpool, if you didn't know. Because I didn't know, but I'm an idiot, so who cares? Are you gonna load in the textures? That's a little bit of a problem with scenes like this, where there's like a lot of stuff going on, as it can take a while to load stuff. But yeah, this I love this scene. It came out so well. These walls, the kind of grimy effect, it's very similar to what I did in the city, where it's like a gradient going from top to bottom, and then there's noise, and then there's more noise, and then there's more noise. It's just like mixing noise and stuff like that. This is the shader if you want to take a picture. Very big and complicated, but the effect is really good. So it was worth it. In the end, it was worth it. I'm gonna switch off now. These chains, very simple. It's just 2 chains and then an array so that it repeats over and over again. These, if you go back and watch the live stream where I made this, these gave me so much of a headache. Just trying to get the chains to wrap around this curve. It was so irritating, and I don't even remember how I did it, but it came out really good. Yeah. The water, quote unquote, the acid here is, I think, just noise, like just a noise texture, and then it's displacing it. And then the bubbles are a particle system. So if I hit play, it just spawns the particle and then it dies after a little bit. So that's how I did the bubbles. I worked so hard and got so far. Yeah, but in the end, it didn't even matter. So that's the Deadpool, but in my opinion, the less impressive of the 2 scenes, because the more impressive scene is this Jeopardy scene, which I have reused at least once, I think maybe twice, but for the Flango animation a couple days ago, I reused this scene. So this scene is, in my opinion, really good looking. It's got the little contestant booths. It's got like this really nice gradient pattern in the back. It's got this screen effect that I'm really proud of. This like thing, you don't even see these. I was trying to go for like, you could see it through the reflection in the ground, which also the reflection in the ground is really good. It's pretty much the same as the acid, but instead of it being green, it's purple. Very, very good effect. But it's like that looks like that kind of cheap flooring that you'd see on that kind of game show situation. The only thing I might change about it is maybe adding some micro detail, like I do with the doctor's office floor, that kind of pattern. But yeah, this is like one of my favorite sets. You're definitely going to see more of it. I'm going to try and use it whenever I can. Chuck Time, he's fun recurring character. Just kidding, because he's just 2 cubes. Like, it's not even worth it. But yeah, it looks even better in cycles, because obviously it does. That's the whole point. but it's probably going to crash, and also my mic is probably going to cut out if I switch the cycles, so I'm not going to do that. Anyways, once again, that's pretty much it for my prepared remarks. Does anyone have anything that they specifically want to look at? While you're making suggestions, I'm going to go grab some water because I'm thirsty. Okay, I'm back. Got some water. Very good. Very good water. I don't know, man. They play game show they played a game show today. They played Jeopardy like all the time. And they played Wheel of Fortune the last time I used it, so I can find justification to use it anywhere. It's my show. Maybe I want to be a game designer one. I actually already covered that earlier in the stream. If you want to see the file, I can just open that up, but I'm not really gonna talk about it in depth. You can just rewind the stream if you want. There. Oh, you know what? I didn't even talk about the animated part of it. So, okay, this is the working file. Everything's just popping into place. This is a video file that's just playing on a plane. Like if Aaron and Dan weren't in the scene, it would still play out the same way. And then they just turn the dials by hand. Their mouths aren't even animated. Their legs and arm, it's just their arms and hands that are animated. They technically, like I could delete everything else. Like I could delete all this. It doesn't need to be there. But yeah, it's just a plain, like there's nothing to it. There's some buttons, there's some labels, all that stuff. Fun stuff. And then the camera is just like positioned up at the top here, pointing down. But I totally forgot that there's a second part to this, because once again, I was hand drawing some stuff on top. So same deal. Bring in the movie as a plane. So this is the video that you would see. This is what I brought in. And then I drew a little boy. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure we decided on a name, but I can't remember what the name is. It's definitely no Bluebee, so it's something else. But little man here. Here's the timeline. So he's a little man. He's got 4 frames. So it's left leg up, left leg down, right leg up, right leg down, and then it just loops over and over again. So that's how easy it is to do a walk cycle, if you don't really care how it looks. He's got 3 hearts, and he starts with 6 coins. I don't know, this is like a little detail that maybe people didn't notice, but every time he breaks a pot, which is near the end here. So I can't believe I haven't talked about this yet. One of the things that I've really picked up in doing this, if you go back and look at if you go back and look at some of my early hand-drawn animations, you see I do quite a bit with smears. I would draw a lot of smears, even in spots where it doesn't necessarily need them. And what I've discovered, like lately, it's mostly been through watching Ross play Gartic Phone. But what I find for the way I animate is more important than smears is easing. So you'll notice that the pot, it goes from no pot to pot in the middle, then pot on the left, and then pot on the left just slightly more. So this right here, this is an example of easing. So it went from one side of the screen to the other, and it comes across pretty smooth.
I wish there was.
So obviously, you know, I'm operating on 2s, frame every 2 seconds, or sorry, 4s, frame every 4 seconds. But in spite of that, it does feel pretty natural with the animation of the little man. And that a big part of that is easing. So even something running at what would 4s be for 30 frames a second? What is that, like 12 frames a second, maybe even less, maybe 8. It looks pretty good. So every time he breaks a pot, again, easing. So same frame here as here. It's just a little bit different. And again, it makes it feel a little bit smoother. Like that. Every time he breaks a pot, the number goes up. So he goes for a walk, breaks a pot, number goes up.
Personally, I could use a little more gray.
Yeah, I agree. I had gray.
The sounds of the pot breaking, excuse me, that was from the episode, the Don't Touch the Button, or the Don't Read the Sign. I forget what the game is called, but that's the sound from there. And in my head, I was taking that as a Legend of Zelda type Link breaking pots. So that's why I drew it like this. And yeah, that's pretty much all I did. So it's pretty much just like 6 frames, and then I changed the number. So it's walking 1, walking 2, walking 3, walking 4, and then pot coming in from the left, breaks the pot. So like in terms of original drawing, it's more like 5 frames. Or yeah, 5. So it's 5 frames and then like some iterations on those frames. Yeah, so very simple. Definitely not my most complex hand-drawn animation. Let's go and look at one of those, shall we? If you haven't noticed, lately I've been doing hand-drawn Danganronpa animations, and most of them are pretty good, if I do say so myself. So let's go to the one that kind of started it all, which was Mikajime. So this one right here. So this one, I first started off, you can actually see the original design I was going for with Mikan. I was trying to go for something more accurate to the game, but I was very quickly realizing that this was going to take a long time if I wanted to like legitimately move forward with this. So what I ended up doing was something that I do very similarly for my Dan and Aaron hand-drawn characters, which I'm actually going to change now that I've discovered that this method's a little bit better. So I start with a head. Gotta make an object here. I start with what am I drawing on? So I start with a head, which is just a circular shape, a perfect circle, and then I'm trying now to make them generally the same size. I'm pretty sure these two are the same size, but later on these two are very different. I've even changed the Hajime design a little bit. I'm definitely going to redraw Mikan eventually. But I start with a circle, and then I draw where the feet go. Right? So in this case, let's move this over here. In this case, his feet start down here. So I draw where the feet go. I'm doing this with a mouse, by the way, so you're going to have to forgive a lot of the weirdness that you're about to see. But the feet are about this height. Duplicate that, because most people have 2 feet. And then I start to draw. So if we were just going to replicate Hajime, I would draw his t-shirt. So that goes to about here. I'll even like, I'll mark out where the groin is, because that's a big indicator for a lot of stuff. So I'll mark where the groin is, I'll put it roughly where it's supposed to go, and then I can keep going. Draw the shirt like this. And then here's the big thing. I'll actually connect the shirt. Even though it's not connected here, you can see that there's a sleeve interrupting it. The way I animate, you can see kind of like shades of it here, is a lot of these lines are going to intersect because the way that Blender uses vectors instead of raster drawings means that I can move and manipulate drawings after they're drawn however I want. So I don't have to worry about like going in and erasing carefully parts I want. I can literally just go in and like carefully surgically remove individual points, which is like part of what I love about this system. So once the proportions are the way I like it, I'll start to go in and add the features. So, you know, obviously Hajime has hands, so I'll take this and I'll scale it down, get a perfect circle for a hand, place it roughly to where his hands are supposed to be. Then I'll draw his sleeves, so like this. And then I'll connect the sleeves to his hands. Typically, when they don't have long shirts, like for instance, I believe Pecco has a long shirt, I'll leave it like this. But if they have short sleeve shirts on, if the wrist is shown, I'll erase part of this. So it looks more like it's the same material as opposed to like disconnecting them. And then I'll go in and I'll draw the pants. I'll typically just do straight lines. Don't have to worry about anything too anatomically correct here, because obviously it's not anatomically correct. It's like that. And then finally I'll go in and do the face. I've noticed that a lot of Danganronpa characters have very similar looking eyes. So it's pretty much just a rounded line at the top, a line coming down to indicate where the nose typically is, and then you round out the eye like this. They'll usually vary how they draw this part. Like some characters will have it kind of square like this. Some characters will have it more pointed, not Hajime. Hajime is who I'm drawing. Nagito. His is very, they draw him very feminine, where it's like a lot more rounded. It's a lot less square. You know, a lot of the female characters, they'll have additional points like this, like a sharpened little bit here, and then they'll add some lines like this. That's how they do their eyes. And then typically, for some reason, I've noticed that the sclera, on a lot of the female characters, like Mikon's an exception because hers are very distinct, but the sclera on like Chiaki and on Pecco, they're pretty much the same as the skin tone, so I don't paint in the sclera for them. But for the pupil, it's just like a big blob like that. I do draw the nose. I typically iterate on it a couple times. I'll draw the mouth first to get like proportions, and then I'll draw the nose, and I can move it around again. I can scale it. It's you know, it's very non-destructive. I can do pretty much whatever I want after the fact. Drawing the ear, and then the part where it really all comes together is the hairline, because if Danganronpa is known for anything, or if the character design of Danganronpa is known for anything, it's the bizarre hair that you'll very often get. Like Hayako, her hair was like, well, it's a lot bigger than that, but her hair is like something like that. Like it's weird, some weird stuff. There's a girl later on, she has like these things coming out. It's like flower petals or something. They like come out like that. I'm just remembering, like it's I'm doing this based on memory, but it goes up like that. I can't remember exactly. Weird stuff. Aoi's like, her hair is always kind of Jimmy Neutron goofy-esque stuff. But yeah, once that's done, I've got the character done. This is how I started it, but it's not like the greatest system. So let me show you what a more recent one was. Let's go to the Chiaki one that I absolutely love, because I love Chiaki. This one right here. So for the Chiaki one, again, I have all these like raw elements that I can draw from. And what I did was just from this one drawing, right? I drew this once. I was able to
She has that ultimate gamer look about her.
make a
She's
loop
like,
of her leaning back and forth. How much hair gel that the characters use? I mean, it's got to be like a tub a day for each of them. But yeah, so with the one drawing of Chiaki, because of how, just to be clear, like this, you wouldn't be able to do this in like a Adobe Flash or Animate or whatever they call it now, unless they have vector tools. I'm not too sure. But a big part of what allows me to do these animations so quickly is that it's a vector style. So I start with the one drawing, I go to the next drawing, and all I have to do is just move an object. Like it's pretty much just animating in 3D but with 2D objects. It's very cool. But going back to the easing thing that I was talking about, let's look at her moving her hand. So she moves her hand to rub her eye because she's very tired. Sorry, I was taking a drink of water. She rubs her eye because she's very tired.
I played too many games.
So that action might not seem significant, but there's a lot going on under the hood there. So I started with her hand at her side. That's the neutral position. Then I drew her hand at her eye, where I wanted her hand to be. And then I brought the hand back down to the neutral position. Then, once I had those A-frames, I believe is what they call them, I have those A-frames figured out, I'll go in, I'll draw a frame that's very close to the previous one. I'll draw a frame that's quite far away, but close to the next one. And then I'll draw a frame that's pretty much identical to the next one, but just slightly different. So that's the whole point of easing. So you have a frame that's similar, a frame that's different, a frame that's different, and a frame that's similar. And you can vary that up like as much as you want. Like you can have multiple frames in this position. You can have none of those frames. Like you can have a frame that's similar, a frame that's different, and a frame that's similar. Like you don't have to. It really depends on the timing that you want to go for. And in that case, that's very much like a feeling thing. Like how do you feel about the timing of this? But again, like one of the things that has really helped me in my journey to be a better animator was learning the importance of easing. Easing is very important for animation. This is just back and forth. There's very little easing with this. But then, once again, you got a frame that's similar, then you've got a frame that's different, got a frame that's different, and then a frame that's similar. And that's a big part of this. I can even demonstrate. If I come here, this is just, I brought this into Krita, and then I did a little thing. If I take a sphere or a circle, right? If I want to get the circle from here to here, right? So let's go 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. So if I want to get the sphere from here to here, and then let's turn onion skin on, right? So if I were to do it linearly, it would go something like this. Okay, so on twos at 30 frames a second, so 15 frames a second.
Soul is dead.
That's the ball going linearly, right? So it goes
Soul is dead.
from one side to the other linearly. But if I wanted to give it some more momentum, like I want to give it weight, I want to make it feel like it has a little bit more momentum, I'll move this frame over a little bit, and I'll move this frame over a little bit. And now, instead of moving linearly,
My soul is dead.
it feels like it has a lot more momentum. Yeah, 12. The principles of animation.
Soul is dead. My soul is dead.
So that's a big part of it. I don't think I'll have to look it out. I'm pretty sure smears aren't on it. I think smears fall under like a peel, because the whole point of smears is that they're supposed to simulate motion blur. That's another big part. If you were to record something with a video camera, not every motion has motion blur, so not every motion that you animate should have smears. It's very much like there's a time and a place for it. But yeah. Since we're on the topic of Danganronpa, let me show you how I did the cloth animation for Hayako, I forget how to pronounce her name, Hayako's animation here. I'm extremely proud of this because this is like pretty much my first time doing hand-drawn cloth in this sense. And again, a lot of this has to do with easing, where I started with key positions. I started with key positions. I eased between them. And then I just went in and I was like, where would the cloth be in this frame? So a big thing with cloth is when you're hand drawing it, and I should preface this, I'm not an expert in any sense. I'm just explaining how I found things work for me. Hayako. Yeah. Hayako. I don't know. It's a name that I don't know how to pronounce, but I say Hayako. Hayako. That sounds more like how Aaron would say it, probably. I don't know. If anyone knows the exact pronunciation, go ahead, but I'll just keep saying Hayako. So the way cloth works is I draw it so that it doesn't have gravity. So it'll like stay in place with like very little force, right? So for instance, in this part, she moves her hand and it's not moving. Like the cloth isn't really moving at all. Hiyoko. Really? Okay. So I'll say Hiyoko now. See, that's how you do it. You don't learn that her name is Monami and then say Monomi right away. So I'm just salty because it bugs me so much that Aaron and Dan say Monomi. It's so irritating. Really? It means chick. Why does she have little cat clips then, huh? Explain that. What's the significance? Is there like anything to do with the fact that she is a dancer? Like, is that related in any way, or is it just a like serendipity? Like her name is Bird. I guess like the yellow hair, maybe like a chicken, like a baby chick. Who knows? So when appendages move in cloth, the cloth gets dragged behind it. So you'll see the arm goes, it's a very drastic motion here. So you'll see that the cloth is like very far behind where the arm is, right? And then the cloth, it still has that momentum, so it has to catch up. And so in this frame, it's starting to catch up. We're easing into the position where it's going to rest. And then the cloth gets dragged up by its own inertia. It gets dragged up by its own momentum, right? And so it goes up and then it comes back down. So that's a big part of how I animated the cloth like that. It's also not just like this bottom part. Like you'll see the sleeve, like near where her shoulder connects on top as well. Like it's all dynamic. It all moves as well. A big one that I really liked, here she's starting to move. This bottom part barely moves. Like it goes up a little bit, but it barely moves. This top part gets dragged along with her hand. This bottom part is still lagging towards where it was before. Secondary action, yeah, that's a big part of it. That's what this is. It's just like with cloth, it's a little bit different. Like if you had a ball on a chain, like it will have that secondary action, but it's not quite the same as the way cloth would work, because cloth is like conforming around a form, whereas a ball on a chain, just like a rigid body on a string, it's a little bit different. There's one part that I'm like especially proud of. It's when she brings her arms down. So that's this part right here. So this I'll play it. Let me zoom out and hit play. Yeah, so I'm extremely proud of how that came out. And this is basically it. So this is going more towards what I was saying before about the 0G aspect of cloth. Oh, by the way, I made an important decision. I'm quitting my art major and entering an animation school this January. Hey, good for you, man. I was my school has an animation course, and I might take it down the line. When I finish game design, though, I came right to doing this. But yeah, it sounds like that's a really good path for you. So like keep on it, and like keep us posted, man. In this point, the cloth, this is where I really treat the cloth like it has zero gravity. So she brings her arms down slightly, starting to ease out of that. And then you'll see the cloth, it's pretty much in the exact same position. Like it barely moves. She brings her arms down. The cloth is very much lagging behind. Like this is probably even longer than it was initially. So this is like a kind of smear. Like you can see it's longer, it's wider, it's bigger. That's a use of a smear. It's very subtle. Like it definitely doesn't look like a smear, but it is a smear. So she brings her arms down. She's dragging the material along with her, starting to slow down a little bit. Okay, but it's still, very clearly moving. We're going from here to here, and then it starts to fold in on itself, and then we get kind of like a bell effect, right? So it's very subtle, but it goes to the left, goes to the right, and then it settles. So that's what makes up one of my proudest shots. And it's like a fraction of a second, but I'm very happy with how it came out. Anyways, yeah, I didn't really, to my knowledge, we can look at the list again, but I don't really think there's anything else that's really big, like that I really need to talk about. So, I think I might leave it there. I'm just gonna have another drink of water. So unless there's anything else you guys want to see, I do have a bit of an announcement to make. I am starting a Redbubble. In case you missed the community post, where I asked if people would be interested in me starting a Redbubble. Out of 36 votes, I got 86% of people saying that they would be interested in me opening a Redbubble. So I've made my account. I've started gathering some stuff to put up on there. Let me show you the folder. It's right here. Yeah, you might have seen it. The folder's just right there. But I've started gathering some stuff to put up there. There's definitely going to be a lot more. Like my Sonic thing is going to go up there, and I've got some other art that I can put up there. But for now, I'm just going to find some simple stuff and put it up. It's pretty much just going to be like stickers and maybe some buttons and whatnot. I still don't fully know how Redbubble works, but I'll figure it out as I go. But if you are interested, you should go and follow me on Redbubble. Check out my page, Aaron G as me, and that goes for all my socials as well. So follow me on TikTok, follow me on Twitter, on Instagram. You'll see it at the bottom of the screen. There's like a scrolling banner. Just follow me on all the socials. I'm trying to build an empire. I'm trying to build an animation empire. We're gonna take over the world. But yeah, if you're interested in any of my work, please consider helping me out. I have a coffee, but really just checking out my videos and checking out and following me on socials will help tons. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for watching. This was a blast. I kind of didn't know if I was going to do this or not, but I'm very glad I did. So have a good night and have a good one.